This is a process known as slip casting, which you work with a liquefied clay poured in the plaster molds. I've been making molds for about 38 years now, and slip casting. And it's a process that's a few hundred years old, but it's a great way to replicate clay, also to make various vessels, because the process of slip casting yields hollow forms. So basically what's happening is I pour this liquefied clay into the plaster mold. The plaster starts to absorb the water, and where the water is absorbed along the inside, the interior image of the mold, a thin shell starts to set up. The longer the liquid clay sits in there, the thicker that shell becomes. It's sort of like a process of sedimentation, but it's not gravity that's causing the sedimentation, it's the absorption of the water from the liquid clay. So that shell will get thicker and thicker as it sits. The teapot body is in this mold. I'll let it sit about 20 to 25 minutes before I pour out the liquid center, and that'll yield roughly about a 1/4 inch thickness of the clay. The handles and spouts I cast a little bit thinner, otherwise they could actually solidify in the center. So they'll sit about 15 minutes or so.
Is this something that's timed, or do you sense how far down it's gone to? Okay.
I actually do time it. I don't know if you notice, I looked at my watch on the very first one just to know it was 12:40. When I cast the teapot, I put all the parts that teapot requires on the table, and then I cast all of the molds. The whole purpose of working with molds is basically molds are a time-saving device. Anytime you want to replicate an image, for example, I have a lot of images that I work with over and over and over again. That original image might take me a week or even more to carve. I want to use that image in a number of different ways. I want to vary it, I want to alter it, I want to manipulate it, I want to join it with other images, etc. And to recarve that image from scratch every time would just eat up my whole year. I'd get maybe 2 or 3 pieces made every year. By working with molds, I take these images, like for example the hearts from the Heart Teapot series, and I'll make original prototype models that I carve out of clay. I make a plaster mold from that. Then I can cast that image again. Again, it would have taken me a week to carve it from scratch. Now I can cast it in a matter of an hour or two, clean it up in another couple of hours, and have a nice hollow form, to work with. I can alter it in any way I want. I can cut it, I can rejoin it, I can change the details. So basically it's a way of regenerating the same image over and over again to use in different ways. So I'll only make a mold of something if I know that I'm going to use that image 5 or more times. You have to recoup the time it takes to make the mold for this process to be efficient. The other reason for working with molds and this process of drain casting, that's what this type of slip casting is referred to, drain casting, is it yields a hollow vessel. So I'm making teapots with a lot of these pieces, and that hollow vessel is very structurally sound. And very thin-walled for a shape of that size. So it's a very appropriate way of making these hollow forms that will become like the teapot body or the spouts or the other parts. Every idea, every concept. So I'm ready to open these molds. This will be the pipe handle for the curbside teapot. And I clean up the exterior of the mold every time, because if you don't, the clay really starts to build up on it. And the plaster is very porous, and to continue drinking water, literally absorbing water from the slip, it has to flow through the mold by capillary action. And if the outside gets all covered with clay, it won't breathe anymore, because the water actually passes completely through the mold and evaporates on that outer surface. So let's see if I can, okay, yeah, that's ready to come. And you very carefully, this apart.